Tensions growing in North Korea. Of course, many politicians are now weighing in how to deal with the country after its recent missile tests.
And we're joined this morning by Congressman Duncan Hunter from the 50th Congressional District here. Good morning, sir. Great to have you here.
Thank you.
So let's start off with just the heart of the question is, you have called for a preemptive strike on North Korea.
Sure, and basically it's if the president determines that it's necessary, because he's the one that's going to get that intelligence first, I'm all for it. I'm in. Number one, there is no more timeline. The timeline's over. You assume right now that North Korea has the ability to hit mainland U.S. They might be aiming for Coronado. They might hit El Cajon, right? But they're going to be close. They have the ability to hit us now. I think we have to assume that. Number two, he's not going to denuclearize. Kim Jong-un is not going to denuclearize. Vladimir Putin said that the North Koreans would rather eat grass than get rid of their nuclear program. So the question for us is, with all the stuff going on, a lot of people that I talk to that have grasped this understand the enormity of it, of what it means to have a third world dictatorship with a nuclear weapon that they're able to launch into space and then bring down in the U.S. or on us or our allies. What does that mean for us going forward? North Korea is not China. They're not logical. They aren't Russia. They aren't acting in their own best interest. And then the question is, then do you wait for them to hit one of us, meaning Japan, Guam, California, or Alaska, or Hawaii, or do we strike first? And I think this is a big deal. I mean, we went into Iraq because we thought Saddam might have been thinking about building nuclear weapons. We went into Afghanistan because they were harboring al-Qaeda that killed a few thousand Americans in New York. Now you have the North Koreans, again, a third world dictatorship, totally closed off to the world in their own little world with no perception of reality as we see it, no perspective from Western civilization as we see it, and they're going to have this aimed at us. And right now they only have a few, let's assume.
So, Congressman,
you can shoot down. If you have more than a few, it's over. Meaning they're then on the same peer level as Russia and China are when you're talking about the only way we have to counter that is mutually assured destruction. We don't want to get to that point with North Korea. And I think we'd be much safer with a Chinese-controlled North Korea than a Kim Jong-un dynasty leading North Korea on a course that's hell-bent to start conflict with the entire world.
Let's talk about China, Congressman. You have Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is in Beijing this morning and has said that the lines of communication with Pyongyang are open, that they are still trying diplomacy as of right now. And of course, he's there to, in part, put pressure on Beijing, and he's also there in part to prep for the president's own trip to the region coming up in November. So it seems almost as if we have two different foreign policies concurrently happening. They're talking about talking, and then you have the president, you have yourself talking about not talking anymore.
Well, so here's what you've had. You've had 20 or 30 years of this, of talking. And what that's led to is a nuclear North Korea. What Tillerson said, and he's totally right, with these banks, and China's now agreed to these new sanctions that the UN passed and that the U.S. is enforcing, saying we're going to cut off all the banking from North Korea. China could end this. China could have ended this 20 years ago. China could have ended this 10 years ago. China could have ended this yesterday, and they have not done it. So if the bank thing makes North Korea go, hey, we're all very sorry. We're going to open up the border. We're going to have McDonald's come on in and some Ford dealerships, and we're going to be a nice free country, and we're going to denuclearize and be a happy member of the U.S. Of the entire planet. Then that's great. I don't think they're going to do that, and I don't think that Americans, when they realize the existential threat that North Korea provides, when they're weighing going to bed every night, millions of Americans under threat of a nuclear North Korea, a crazy North Korea. Once again, not logical, not commonsensical, and you weigh that against taking them out first, based on the president with his intelligence.
That when you say taking them out, are we talking conventional?
You're talking conventional. You're talking a conventional invasion. Is what you're talking, not just a preemptive strike. The preemptive strike stuff would go against all of their artillery and their missiles that are aimed on Seoul, and that'll take a few days. We've got to take all of that stuff out while Seoul gets nailed, probably. I mean,
this is not a happy talk. You're talking about almost 40,000 American troops who are in that particular space, as well as millions of South Koreans that
I would argue
die.
that is why they're there. They're not going to die. They would move them south, number one, out of artillery range.
That's not what estimates have said, though.
And they would put them underground, right? But estimates don't have the knowledge that I have from my hearings, being on the Armed Services Committee. They would move back from the border. They would go underground. But that's why you have the military in South Korea. It's not there for fun. It's there to make sure that North Korea doesn't do what it's doing now. That's why you have Pacific Command. I mean, that's why we have a military, is to deter actors like North Korea. But here's the problem. If the rest of the world knows that we won't act and that we're not going to use our military, then our military is no longer a deterrent. And that's what we see in the case of North Korea, where they'll do what they want to do, regardless of what we or the rest of the world saying, please don't do this. It's going to destabilize the entire world, or the world decides that the North Korean nuclear program has to be shut down through whatever means necessary. And I would argue that the only way to do that is through force. But again, based on President Trump saying the time to act is now, we have to do it now, or we're not going to get a second chance. And I would support him in that, and I would support a declaration of war as well if the president asked for it.
It's a discussion that could easily go on much longer than we have here.
Quickly, do you see the president getting to Asia? I mean, do you see this playing out before his trip in November?
I don't know. And again, China. What is China going to do?
Right. Okay.
Right. Well, then you would say, what is China going to do if we would carry out a strike like you're suggesting?
Well,
so.
And once again, maybe we offer China North Korea. I don't think the South Koreans want it. That would stabilize the entire area.
But China likes having
Asia
that
would
buffer.
be massively stabilized. It would grow their economies there. It'd be a great thing if there were no dictatorship in North Korea with nuclear weapons aimed at the U.S.
Congressman Duncan Hunter from the 50th District, thank you very much
Hey,
for
thank
your
you.
service.
Pleasure.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here.